Onstage, onstage with Jim and Tom. 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 Tom and Jim.
Tonight we welcome Argentavis to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. They are a band that uses the following tags to describe themselves: punk, crust, D-beat, dark hardcore, epic crust, neo-crust, punk, and Santa Rosa. Please welcome to the program, Argentavis.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hi.
Maximum Rock and Roll did a review on the Argentavis Dispara split and had this to say of your band. Santa Rosa's Argentavis deliver up some real murky D-beat crust. They've got that heavy driving dirge that never gets too fast, but it is relentless. It's like how an evil look can sometimes be worse than a total freak out. That's what these guys are like. An evil look from the driver of a tank that is slowly driving over you. So my first prompt to you is, do you feel that that's an adequate description?
Wait, are you serious? That actually happened?
That actually happened.
Yeah,
you got to read your press material.
I've never seen that.
Really?
Yeah, no, seriously.
We got that review when Brian was out of the band, actually.
I see.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you just got to start with that, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oops.
But back to the original point, do you folks feel like this band is an evil look from the driver of a tank that is slowly driving over you? It's very menacing.
It was.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
So, but it's evolved. But let's talk about what it was like
It
then.
was like that, but now the driver of that tank is going, and he feels remorseful when he's going and talking to the widow of the person he ran over, and then like making amends because
Yeah, he's just really sad.
Now. Yeah, he's just like, it's like
So this used to be like maybe a more so malicious band, a band that would maybe kill you, and now this is a band.
oh, no, we're still gonna kill you.
Yeah,
we're still gonna kill you.
But then we're gonna.
Let's not get it twisted.
But in a nice way.
Okay.
Yeah, that review also came out, I think, was it 2 years ago? Or
When the record came,
Yeah,
the
so
first
like
split,
we've,
yeah.
it's been a while. We recorded that a really long time ago when the band lineup was a little different. And so we've grown up too and changed and had different perspectives, and so naturally our music has also progressed and evolved, and everyone's gotten better. So when we first started the band, it was super straightforward, but I think with time and coming into our own life changing us, we've just kind of had time to develop a sound that's more appropriate for how we feel about the world currently.
It's also gone from being really introspective lyrically to more politically aware and focusing on the world around us.
Definitely, this feels pretty political as you're looking at what you guys are talking about.
You say that the band has changed a lot over time. That's pretty natural because you all have changed over time. Were there themes on the earlier releases outside of just looking inward, inner tumult, sadness, isolation? Was there anything on there that's worth mentioning? Because I think it's interesting to kind of celebrate the transition the band has gone through.
We're talking about mostly the lyrics wise?
Yeah, lyrics wise.
That EP took place when my father was dying of cancer, and I got heavily addicted to drugs and alcohol, and so it's kind of a hot mess. And so I think that album basically is just me coping with loss, and you mentioned before, sink into the abyss. It's just kind of watching the world around you kind of crumble and just not really being able to do anything about it, and you're just watching everything around you fall apart. And
it was a pivotal defining moment in your life because everything you'd known up to that point changed.
Yeah. And so I think that's where after I just felt I had to I needed something to carry me through that in the band and writing, and so that's what that EP was about. It wasn't really, there wasn't a lot of external elements going on there. There was drug addiction, depression, watching my father die, and just finding a way to medicate myself.
Was that Visions and Fractures?
Fractures is kind of the songs kind of go in an order. So if you start with Sedatives, it's basically dealing with heavily medicating yourself, needing something to just fall asleep, needing something to get through your days. And so it's alcohol, cocaine, pills, whatever weed you want to do, just get through it. And through Chemical Imbalance, it's trying to find happiness and dealing with this shitty place in your life. Going into Obsolescence, it's kind of feeling you don't really have a place anymore. It's just everything's obsolete. Shit doesn't matter. also kind of become this person dealing with all this pain around you, and you kind of like, with the alcohol, and maybe everyone else can relate, like you kind of do shitty things when you're heavily under the influence, and kind of looking back on that. And then going into chemical imbalance.
Which I would also add, sorry to interrupt, but I would also add that then that starts to distort your idea of who you are, right? Because you do shitty things because you're coping with other things that are going on, and then you start to question your very moral fiber, the type of person that you are, and then it kind of snowballs into just this like, kind of worse situation. But go ahead.
And like chemical imbalance is just literally dealing with like depression. It's a chemical imbalance, like suffering from that and just kind of being angry about it, not really having much to do about it other than self-medicate, friends, band. And Death Rattle is actually a song about listening to my father die.
Yeah.
And so that's what that Death Rattle was for me.
Did your dad ever get a chance to see you guys play?
No, actually, he was too sick. I really wanted him to.
Yeah, but because you put together a really powerful triad of those three tunes. I mean, for lack of a better way to say it, what a great way to send them out. What a really powerful way to put it into your reality and make a reality out of it and put it forward. Very powerful. Somewhere he probably did see you play it. That's the way I believe. But wow, what an incredible statement for your father.
I definitely think it's worth mentioning too. Ryan and I grew up together in Guidesville, and I knew his father too. And he always encouraged Ryan to do whatever he could with music, and he provided us with the tools, as far as like guitars and amps and all that, and allowed us to have band practice at his house up there and everything. And I feel like he was a huge influence, obviously on him, but also like on where we are now as far as music. So
that's true.
What I like about what you just said there is that because he encouraged the music, your dad, then he sort of like lives on in whatever music you make. I think about that when you lose people, and it's like, well, he was the reason that certain things fell into place in your life, so kind of cool that he gets to live on in whatever art you create.
And then to kind of wrap that up, what you're talking about, do the songs have a transition and like that like dynamic? So I think it was like important to explain what that EP represented in that moment, and then transitioning, having that done, and then taking a time to stop, and then we all started writing new music and the band changed. So now we're currently at this new state, and the lyrics have changed a lot from being very introspective to external and focusing on larger issues of the world, and so much like I feel like I can leave that behind me in a way and kind of like move on.
And now you can be a little bit more focused instead of being totally overtaken by the emotion of that loss. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I stopped drinking actually. I've been 2 years sober, so like that also helped with the lyrical content, and it kind of started going back to school and getting like really interested in politics and philosophy. And so I just kind of used college as a way to propel my writing, and it's just like a giant resource of information to draw from police brutality to a patriarchal system to material culture, and finding that we have this band and it's a platform where we can raise awareness and talk about these issues, and that's kind of, I think that's important now.
Graveyard's a journey. It starts out slow. It's almost like
it's a thriller.
It's a crust symphony.
Psychological thriller and a
is it
crust
the
symphony.
modern thriller?
It's almost like some of the old certain Stravinsky pieces.
Right.
A friend of mine said, "Dude, man, if you want to know where metal got started, just listen to Stravinsky and some of those guys." And it starts out slow and builds its way up, and you're on this journey with that tune. It's a great tune.
That song's theme is like police brutality, and it started with like Andy Lopez getting shot in Roseland. And that sparked
authority, the ruler of our laws. It preys on age, gender, and your skin.
Yeah, so the length of that song allows me to kind of write more of an essay than the other songs are very like straightforward. But these dudes all write the music first, and then I'll kind of like listen to it and like take some notes, and then it kind of comes through in that process.
You actually had the numbers in there, I thought.
Every 28 hours, a person of color is killed by a cop.
Fascinating. And actually, I hadn't ever read that before.
It's in a Guardian article, actually. Probably should do like a citation on the lyrics that I was getting that information from there.
Look, you put it out there, and it's little things like that are important for people to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you end the song, too, with a call to challenge these unjust actions, to be held accounted, to honor those lost.
Mm-hmm.
Also important to note that Andy Lopez was a Santa Rosa resident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure most people that listen to this will know that, but obviously that happened, and that affected you. Do you find that happening caused you to educate yourself more on this subject than you would have otherwise?
I think it stimulated it because it was in our own neighborhood, and it was alarming that this child was killed by an officer, and I was following the story, and it was just really troubling, like, why was he shot by them? Like, there just didn't really seem to be much interaction between the scene of when they saw him and the event unfolded. It seemed like there could have been more.
There was none.
Yeah,
Right.
more precautions or just some conversation or something, and just like shot, and then that just seemed really wrong. And then also, I believe this is correct, but that officer later on got like a promotion. It just doesn't seem fair. And so it's just like, is this fair? Can we question this? Can we raise accountability? Can we have a conversation about this? Like, how can we fix this problem? Like, it's going on in a lot of communities. And I think it's something that's important and people should talk about and be aware of.
Does the table have very little hope for things improving in our future? We talk politics every once in a while on here, and it seems like the mood is fairly bleak amongst the sorts of folks that come on this show.
What do Morgan, Jordan, Shredder, what do you guys feel about that?
You don't want to know my answer to that.
I mean, when you answer it like that,
just my apathetic feelings just seem to take over my drive to do anything good or think anything's going to change. It just wears you down. Like, you know, I've always been really into political and social activism, and I've always researched that and been into that scene. And just like at this point, I'm not giving up, but I just don't have anything left. I don't have to just keep doing it. You know, it's like I'm just worn out. You know, just worn out with life and everything. Just everything they throw at you, it just grinds you down until you're just trying to just keep your head above water just to get through your day. You know, and that's
How long
the
do you think
system,
that's
really.
been going on in Western culture?
I don't know. Forever since on capitalism.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you can look at how would it suck to have to be working as a slave on the pyramids, or
Yeah.
to be one of the frontline soldiers in a Roman attack, or even to have to die in the Colosseum, and you can just keep going and going and going. Some poor schmuck that's in the front lines marching to Waterloo for Napoleon, or oh my God, being in Pickett's charge in Gettysburg.
Same shit now, it's just different circumstances.
Right.
You know?
This is part of the cyclical nature of history,
Yeah.
right? Where when you try to take down power and you fail or it changes, they learn, and they learn new ways to enslave people.
Yeah.
You know, to force you into the lifestyle that they choose for you.
Yeah, I think I like to keep optimistic if I were to.
After all that,
Yeah, I mean, even with like a current administration and things being super shitty, but if you just like give up, nothing's
Nope.
gonna change.
Bravo.
And so like you have to have some optimism that things are gonna get better, because that's the reason why you keep fighting to change the system if it's fucked up and broken. Like, if you don't have any passion or fire, or if it's, I think like you need to keep some little glimmer of hope.
I guess with all that, it's coming back to what we do as far as music. It's that idea of, we understand things are messed up. We get that. But we're going to sit here and we're going to play music and we're going to talk about it. You know, things may not change or whatever, but we're still going to make something pretty out of it, you know?
And add a voice to the culture of resistance to try
Exactly.
to inspire more in the future.
Exactly.
if it means anything to you guys, usually at the end of a metal show is when I get the most thank yous.
Why do you keep saying
Weirdly.
metal? We're punk.
Oh man, I know what your pit looks like. I know what your pit looks like. I just listened to you guys play. I've been listening to you all day, and I know what your pit looks like.
So much
And
slam
if it's the right pit, and those people are getting exactly what they came to get, they're one of the happiest audiences at the end of the night.
Right.
I feel like maybe punk is more reflective of what you believe your upbringing is, your soul
punk,
is.
Punk
They-
is not the style of music you play, it's your mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's of how you carry yourself.
Punk is a deal as metal is not.
That's an
Yeah.
important
Metal is just a music
differentiation.
genre.
And you believe that this band is more than just a genre of music that you play. And in that vein, let's talk about... Do you want to say one more thing about genre?
I was going to say, look, Beethoven was metal and Mozart was punk, okay?
Beethoven was punk as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he was so metal. Are you kidding me?
You want to justify that?
All right, yeah.
God,
justify
listen
that?
to what he's doing with those with his deep brass and
He did have some blast beats.
Oh my God, is that guy? He just pounds you. You can get pounded. Bach pounding you.
Both
Holy
great
cow.
D
So much
beat
pounding.
artists.
Metal.
The ultimate D beater.
They're good D beaters. Track number 2, Material Possessions.
That song, I think, is a social commentary on American consumer culture and observing how much people buy useless, unnecessary shit. And that kind of seems to be their driving purpose in life, and kind of noticing that, like, people go to work and choose to just, like, spend to create happiness for themselves. And that's fine if that's, like, what you want to do. But I think there is... I know, like, again, an awareness that needs to be made that there's more to life than just your materialistic possessions. Like, there is friendships, there's love, there is nature, there is getting engaged in your communities. There is more than just plastic buying it.
Does anybody at the table have, back to the earlier point we talked about in track 1, an idea as to how this all is going to play out? There are some people who believe in, like, the great unraveling.
Is any of us going to be around to see it out? Are we going to be able to open a history book and read about it in our lifetime?
We're Pompeii. That's
book?
what I finally figured out. This is Petaluma in the North Bay is Pompeii of our day.
Hashtag
we are
we are
living in
Pompeii.
Rome, and we have all that Rome has to offer before us, and we get to play in those pools. And the only thing missing will be the volcano, but I mean, Korea might be able to take care of that.
For the listener out there who doesn't know what Pompeii was to Rome, would you mind describing
Oh my
briefly
God,
why we are Pompeii?
Rome, Pompeii at the time was the height of everything that Rome wanted to be. It was your resort town almost. You could go and find anything you wanted there. And I have a feeling it was 24 hours, and that's what this area has become all of a sudden.
Rome fell, and maybe other things will fall too in the future.
I think we can see the volcano. I mean, there's
It's pluming.
Yeah, it's
there's
definitely going to happen,
the
man.
economic divide. There's climate change, climate warming, and like if humanity wants to continue, like we get off the planet or we fix it, and we treat each other with respect, and we build a system in which we're unified, and we have the opposite. And the opposite has maintained power, continues to, and that's where it looks
Even though the
dire.
voices have always been there for everybody to live together
Right.
and live in peace, the voices have been there.
There's been research that shows that there may actually be two distinct types of people with two distinct kinds of mind. One is worried about power and themselves and their family and what they can see. And the other is worried about universal things, about the world, about humanity. And neuroscientists are seeing this like distinct divide in the way that minds work. And they're classifying it as two kinds of people. And so the question is like, well, if you are born to want power, to seek power, how are you not going to take it when everyone else just wants to be happy and universally happy and support one another? And it sets the stage for people to just usurp, take power, and it's kind of like shaped our world. And so the real question is like, how do we avoid those people taking power, coming to power? How do we not vote those people in? Right?
Maybe I don't know. I haven't read the lyrics, but track number 3, Renounce. What are we renouncing in track number 3?
That song Renounce is talking about a patriarchal society that we live in, and the way that America has defined males as violent objects and women as sex objects. And I think it's being aware of that environment and being brought up as a socialized, conditioned male and not really being aware of how would I say that? Not being aware that perhaps you are the problem based on the way you've been conditioned in your society, recognizing that and being able to challenge it and do something about it to get out of that sexist mind state or to be an ally to other people, to be aware of issues, to be aware of sexual abuse in your community, just to stop being like this over aggressive male who seems to like dominate in this American culture.
And the final track on the new album is called Pathogen.
Yes.
Could you tell us about Pathogen, please?
Pathogen is a commentary on war and our state as a human species and our impact on the earth, such as the environment, and how the name pathogen refers more to a disease and that we're slowly killing our planet and we're killing ourselves and we're not really compromising. And it's just this vicious cycle that seems to be going on. And so it doesn't really have like a point, or it's just kind of like a generalization of just like looking at like foreign countries fighting with each other, people like not really caring about the environment or global warming or something, and it's just leading to this area that seems to be, as like humans as a species seem to be this like parasite that's killing the earth. And it's like, are we that, or can we be something different? Is that just an unchecked mode that everyone's in at the time and not really thinking further about? So I think it's adding perspective to something that people see and hear every day, but don't really think of it in that sort of context.
So, an uplifting time to be alive, and perhaps this album is a reflection of the time that it is created in. Mm-hmm. It'll be a good thing that people can look to when we're all gone. The aliens can look at it and they can be like, oh, that's what was going on. Okay. I have a pretty good idea as what happened to this species. Tom, do you have any closing thoughts for the episode, I guess?
I like the band.
Yeah.
You know what? Doggone it.
Thanks, Tom.
I think these guys are one of the best metal bands we've had at this table.
Fuck you, Tom.
Metal
Caffey.
again. Nice.
That's a punk band.
Here we go.
One of the crustiest, punkest metal bands we've ever had
like
at this
it.
table.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'll take it.
So I think that it is a project that is very worth documenting, and I hope that it can continue in the way that it has, even with a member living on the East Coast. And
It's only gonna get better.
you've been a presence. This is a band that's been a presence in the local scene. You look over the shows and the people you've played with, and you've been a significant part of the scene that you live in. And I think there's something to be said for that. And I'm glad that we got to document like where you guys were at in July of 2017. So I really appreciate how open you were about the earlier stuff. I know sometimes it's not the most comfortable to talk about that stuff, but we all have it. We all experience some version of that at some point in our lives, and there's something really beautiful about sharing it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And next up, the reason we're here, a performance by the band Argentavis. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having us.